There we go. Hi everyone, I'm Jason, and for today's video, I'm gonna teach you on how to do math. But before we start, we need to change our clothes. Awesome. Now, get your pens and your notebooks. Let's get started. So for our topic for today is all about roots of quadratic equations. Let's start with the first part of the topic. The first part, we need to determine the nature of the roots. We need to characterize the root of quadratic equation using the discriminant, simply by finding a, b, and c and using the formula of discriminant after. Now, when you got the answer, you can now determine the nature of the roots. So here is how you can determine the nature of the roots. So first, if d or discriminant is greater than 0, then it is real and unequal. If d is equal to 0, then it is real and equal. And if d is less than 0, then it is imaginary and unequal. Moreover, the roots are rational if d is a perfect square, and it is irrational if d is not a perfect square. So for our first example, we have x squared plus 8x plus 16. Now, we need to find a, b, and c. So a will be 1, and b will be 8, and c will be 16. So now, we need to use the formula of discriminant. So here is the formula for discriminant. Now we're going to place the numbers according to a, b, and c. Discriminant, and b is 8 minus 4, a is 1, and c is 16. So this is basically 8 squared, and 8 times 8 is equal to 64. Now, we need to multiply these two. 16 times 1 is equal to 16, of course, and 16 times 4 is equal to 64 also. Now, 64 minus 64 is 0. Now, let's determine the nature of the roots. Zero is rational because it is a perfect square, and real and equal because the discriminant is equal to 0. And now for the second part of this example, we need to find the sum and product of the roots. So here are the formulas for sum and product. Now for sum, we need to put negative 8 over a1. Now, the answer for negative 8 over 1 is negative 8. So here is the final answer for sum. Now, for the product. So here's the formula for the product. C is 16 over A is 1. So now, the answer for 16 over 1 is just 16. So here's the final answer for product. Let's move on to the next example. Our next example, we have 2x squared plus 9x plus 6. Now, let's determine the a, b, and c again. A is 2, and b is 9, c is 6. Now we need to solve for discriminant. So b is 9 minus 4, 2, and times 6. So 9 squared is equal to 81. Minus 2 times 6 is equal to 12. And then 12 times 4 is equal to 48. Now 81 minus 48 is equal to 33. So this is our final answer. Now let's determine the nature of the roots. So now 33 is irrational because it's not a perfect square. It's real and unequal because it is greater than 0. And now for the second part of this example, you need again to find the sum and the product of the roots. So negative and then put 9 over 2. If you divide this 2, this will be still the answer. So now we're going to put this as the final answer for the sum. And now we need to find the product. So C is 6 over A is 2. 6 over 2 is equal to 3. So 3 is your product. There we go. Now let's move on to the next example. So here's our third example. 9x squared plus 5 equal to 16x. And 16x needs to be transposed over here. Let's transpose 16x. So now this will be 9x squared minus 16x plus 5. Now let's determine the A, B, and C. So A is 9, B is negative 16, and C is 5. Now let's use again this formula for discriminant. So B is negative 16 minus 4, 9, and 5. So negative 16 squared is equal to 156. Now 9 times 5 is equal to 45, and 45 times 4 is equal to 180. So 156 minus 80 is equal to 76. Now, let's determine the nature of the roots. So now, 76 is irrational again because it is not a perfect square, and real and unequal because it is greater than 0. Now let's find the sum and product of this example. The sum, we need to put this again. So negative 16 over 9. So the answer to this will be 16 over 9. Because negative times negative is equal to positive. So this will be the final answer for sum. Now, let's find the product. So now we need to use this. C is 5 and A is 9. So now this is already the final answer for the product. Now, let's move on to the next example. So now for our fourth example, we have 7 over 8 x squared plus 4 equal to 2x. We have a fraction over here, and now we need to transpose 2x. So this will be 7 over 8 x squared minus 2 x plus 4. So now we need to find a, b, and c. A is 7 over 8. B is 2, negative 2. And c is 4. Now we need to use the formula for discriminant again. Negative 2 squared minus 4, 7 over 8, and 4. So negative 2 squared is equal to 4. Even though it's negative, the answer will be positive. 4 times 7 over 8 times 4 is equal to 14. 4 minus 14 is negative 10. So now we need to determine the nature of the roots. Negative 10 is irrational because it's not a perfect square because it's negative, and imaginary and unequal because it is less than 0. So now, let's find the sum and product of the example. Now we need to find the sum and product of the roots. So for the sum, first we need to put negative times negative 2 over 7 over 8. The answer for this will be 16 over 7. This will be the final answer for the sum. Now for the product, we need to put 4 over 7 over 8. So the answer for this will be 32 over 7. This will be the final answer for the product. Now, let's move on to our last example. So here's our last example. We have square root of 12x squared plus square root of 3 equal to 14x. Now, we need to transpose 14x. So this will be square root of 12x squared minus 14x plus square root of 3. Now we need to find the a, b, and c. A will be square root of 12. B will be negative 14. And c will be square root of 3. So now let's find the discriminant. So first, negative 14 squared minus 4 square root of 12 times square root of 3. So negative 14 squared is equal to 196. Then square root of 12 times square root of 3 is equal to square root of 36. Now, let's find the answer to square root of 36. So the answer to square root of 36 is 6. 4 times 6 is equal to 24. So now the answer to 196 minus 24 is equal to 172. Now this is the final answer. Now let's determine the nature of the roots. So now 172 is irrational because it's not a perfect square. Real and unequal because it's greater than 0. Now let's find the sum and product of the roots of this example. Now let's find the sum and product of the roots. For the sum, we need to put negative times negative 14 over square root of 12. So to solve this, you need to multiply this to square root of 2 over square root of 2. So the answer will be 7 square root of 3 over 3. And now this is the final answer for the sum. Now let's move on to the product. So we need to put square root of 3 over square root of 12. So to solve this again, we need to multiply this to square root of 2 over square root of 2. So now the answer to this will be 1 over 2. So here's the final answer for the product. And that is it. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and if you did like it, please subscribe, like, and share to everyone so all of you guys can learn math together. I really hope you guys learned a lot from this video. So yeah, always remember that math is fun. Bye guys, study well, God bless.